Yeah, so the thing is, every time I sit down, it
Hello.
just burns and burns and burns. So I'm like, oh my God,
Hello.
you know, am I
Tiny.
ever gonna go like a normal person again? I don't know. So I talked to the
Tiny.
doctor, and the doctor said
Um,
he's gonna,
excuse
take a
me.
look up at it, you know,
Excuse
make
me.
sure everything is cool. But
Excuse me.
you got that big
Are you
lump.
gonna let me know when it's time to record?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Go ahead. Just start recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, the record is on. Go ahead.
The following program may contain some strong language that may not be suitable for younger viewers. So viewers' discretion is advised.
All right, cool. We're good.
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
good.
Thank you. Checks in the mail.
Hmm.
All right, so listen, I gotta get going because I gotta edit all this stuff out. Yeah, we'll talk later. All right, man. Peace.
Sometimes I remember holding her hand, taking walks at sunset, and making life plans. And now and then I hear the angels sing, like the first time she wore her wedding ring. Yeah, she got the ring, I got the finger. At first she was.
And here I thought that song was just a joke. Thank you, Wally Gator. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome one and all to episode 3 of this bi weekly series, JTC, the podcast. I'm your host, Juan Tiny Cologne. And if you're listening to this, that means that you like what you've heard so far and you've come back for more. Or maybe you're a first time viewer or listener, depending on how you want to look at it. For those first timers, let me let you know where you can find us at. You can find us in various social media platforms, starting with YouTube. Of course, also be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, so forth and so on. Also, if you like, I'll also put down the link, the PBME website. That's right, PBME Productions. Right on the link, the website will be in the section comment below. So that way, if you want to check it out there and the content that's also on the website, you're more than welcome to. The door's open. Come on in. So just before we continue on, I just have a couple of announcements on that one. If you wish to submit a question or a comment to the podcast, you can comment either below this video or you can email me at jtcthepodcast at gmail.com. Say right here, jtcthepodcast at gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous with your question, just please state it somewhere in the email. Okay? I'll respect it. Now, also, don't forget, hit like, share, and subscribe for more future content. Okay? All right. On to the first segment. But before we go, I got something I have to say. Someone called me up the other day and they're a supporter of the podcast. They enjoy it. And they like that section. I call it in memoriam to a fallen musician who's no longer with us. And they said that, yeah, they really, really like it, but is it possible that I can put it in the middle of the podcast or the end of the podcast, something like that? Well, I told that person that, believe it or not, that segment to me is very important. It's personal, it's my personal interaction with that person. Um, but you know what? Rather than get into a discussion about it, I simply said this: I'll let you decide. That's right. You guys. You guys tell me what you want to see. You guys tell me what you want to hear. Do you want more juicy content? Do you want light content? Do you want me to stick to the content that I have? Hey, it's public opinion in this one. Until that moment, please join me in this segment in memoriam, honoring this very important person that has touched my life and others like me. It goes something like this. Check it out. Kid, if you have any questions, just ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. Entiende? I've heard that statement from two other people in my life, but one of them was Jose Febles. Born July 18, 1949, in La Perla del Sur, which means the Pearl of the South, Ponce, Puerto Rico. Jose was hands down one of the greatest musical arrangers of salsa music to ever live, and there's not a salsa artist, musician, or arranger today that'll dispute that statement. He started out as a trumpet and guitar player at the age of 14. 2 years later, he started writing musical arrangements. And then in 1969, he made his way to New York from Puerto Rico, where he made a name for himself in the entire up and coming salsa community. I got to meet Jose through Omar Castaños, may rest in peace, at a rehearsal in Brooklyn with what no one would know at the time would be almost 1 year before Jose's recorded death in 1993. Now, I'm going to assume the position that it was 1993 because I heard about his death 2 years later from a third party source. More on that later. At that rehearsal, he showed up with the chart he wrote and wanted the band to play it. I was sitting on the lead trumpet chair in that rehearsal, and let me tell you, I was shitting the bed like you wouldn't believe playing that chart. In that time period, my music reading skills were sad. But I tried my best. He came over to me after a couple of times trying to play the part right, and he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't worry about it, kid. I can't play my shit either." After the rehearsal, Jose was talking to Omar, and Omar notioned me to come over to them. And he said to Jose that I'm also a music copyist, and he offered my services to Jose if he wanted to use me. So Jose said, "That's cool. Omar's vouching for you, so if he says you can do it, then I'll call on you." I started copying music with Jose after that for about maybe 4 or 5 months. And I would only copy the score from Jose in his apartment. And seriously, he would complain sometimes about how slow I was copying the chart, but he did like that I asked him a lot of questions about things that I saw on the score. He was extremely hands-on with his music, and he had no problem showing me stuff or explaining stuff in detail of what he was thinking, what his idea was, and his psychology of what he was writing. What I'm about to say next will explain why I didn't know he passed away or anything like that. Jose called me one day and asked me to come over, pick up a score, and get it ready for him as soon as possible. He said to call him as soon as it's ready to be dropped off, and under no circumstances am I to take a million years to do it. I said okay. I did as he asked. I went to Brooklyn, I picked it up, brought it home, started copying it. I called him the next day that it was done. Back then, we didn't have cell phones and only beepers, and he never gave me his beeper number. So I called him and I left a message on his answering machine. He didn't get back to me. So a couple of days go by. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call from him, and he was so pissed off. He was just reaming me a new one. Like how, what's wrong with me, and how, why did I disrespect him, He just went on and on and on. And I told him that's not true. I left you a voice message, you never got back to me. And he said, stop lying, don't lie to me. And that, he wants his music now. So he told me to meet him at this train station near the End Result Studios, which was located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn. As soon as he saw me, he started up again. He reamed me another one, yelling and screaming like on the phone. And I think I just stood there and I took it. I handed him the score with the charts, and I copied, and he snatched it right out of my hands and told me to get lost. And that was the last time I saw it. I believe a couple of years later, maybe around 1995, I started rehearsing with another group from Brooklyn called Maxima Potencia. Never forget. and I met a fellow trumpet player by the name of Always Demonia. Hope I'm saying his name right. We started talking about musicians and arranging and stuff, and Jose's name came up in the conversation. I always loved Feble's work and kept saying how great he was. Now, I didn't catch on at first, but he kept referring to Jose in the past tense. So after a while, I stopped him and I asked him, I says, "What do you mean by was?" And he just looked at me and he asked me if I knew, but he saw from my puzzled look that I had no idea what he was talking about. He told me that Jose passed away some time ago. Honestly, after that news, I really didn't hear anything else that he said. It's like my mind went somewhere else. JTC the podcast would like to honor Jose in a manner befitting his genius and to carry on his memory. And I pray that one day when I see him again, and if he's not too busy writing for the Giants of Salsa up there in the great, up there in heaven, that he'd be proud of the arranger that he unknowingly groomed with his wisdom. Thank you, Josie. I truly appreciate it. And welcome back, one and all. It was an honor for me to put that together for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Before I go on to the topic, I want to say a couple of things that I did not say in that segment due to a time constraint that I'm trying to stick to. The first thing I want to say is that it was extremely difficult for me to find photos of Jose to showcase in that particular segment, like I've been able to find from others. And I instead decided to use some album covers that he participated on as a musician, arranger, producer. I mean, they're not, but they're not in any particular order. He participated on them. So that's the photos that you see. If you're just listening to what I'm saying, then that's one thing. But if you see the albums that this man touched, oh my God, I mean, those are iconic albums in the salsa music. I mean, what can be said about Jose Feble's musical talent and arranging style that hasn't been said before? Seriously. The second thing I want to point out also is the conflicting reports surrounding his death. I mean, there are some places that say that he passed away in December of 1993. I personally didn't hear about it until around 95. So, if you ask certain musicians that knew him, that worked with him, or he used a lot, some would say no, he didn't die in December 93, he died in December 94. He didn't die in 94, he died in December of 95. I mean, I don't know. Who the heck knows? Seriously. That's one conflicting report. Another conflicting report is what did he die of? Some say he died of AIDS. Some say he died of an overdose. Some say he died of just poor health. One person told me that he died in 99 actually from robbing a bodega. And I'm thinking, what? Okay. Well, who can you believe? You see, for you young people out there, you got to understand, back then we did not have internet. We didn't have social media to communicate. We didn't have MySpace. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have none of that. So all this is new to a guy like me. I'm 49 years old, people. So therefore, 29, or when I was in my 20s, the best way and the only way that we were able to find out what happened, or something happened, was word of mouth. So time does get misconstrued. The one thing that I will say that seems to be general across the board is the fact that he did die of AIDS in December of 93. So that's why I put down December of 93. That's pretty much my disclaimer. I'm just like shocked and amazed at the misinformation that's truly out there about this man. It just boggles the mind, seriously. Well, anyway, now with all that being said, on to today's topic. Let's go. Okay, if you read the episode title, you probably have an idea of what today's topic is going to be. Yeah, you guessed it. Insurance. No bullshit. This is serious. What a working musician has and what they don't have when it comes to health insurance and coverages. You know, let's start. This is gonna might be a long one, so let's get into it. First and foremost, when you're a working musician, if you don't know this, well, I'm sure you do, but being the fact that this is tax season, you need to talk about that. First and foremost, no working musician works for anyone. We work with people. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the IRS states that the working musician, if you're doing full time musician, you're called a self employer. That's what you are, self employed. You don't work for anyone. Okay? It's what short term, long term of it is an NEC, which is a non employee compensation. It's basically self employment income. It's the income that you receive from the person who's paying you that classifies you as an independent contractor rather than an employee. That particular type of income, it comes with a form of 1099 miscellaneous in which you're required to pay self employed taxes. Now, why is that? Well, it's very simple. We make our own hours. We work our own. There's really no contract that says that we work for anyone. We're basically, we're hired guns. Give you an example. There are some groups out there that work with various groups. They're freelancers. You couldn't do that if you worked for one person. Now, there was a time period, if I'm not mistaken, that you could work with that one group and you could be very successful with that one group. But in reality, in the music industry, it just doesn't happen. Now, I'm not sure about, to be perfectly honest, I want to generalize this. I don't want to just say it is for a particular genre. So you got to give me a second to put it together. I don't want to generalize it with one particular genre, but according to a lot of people that I spoke to in other genres like rock, heavy metal, I've spoken to people in hip hop, I've spoken to people in jazz. They operate the same way. So pretty much it is across the board. You know, Basically a 1099 Form C is if a business that you work for pays you $600 or more throughout the year, or you've made that much more or higher, you have to report that income. And even if you don't, you got to report the minimum income that you make. So it's a combination of it. One of the one of the downfalls of that is that you as a 1099 employee, you have to fund 100% of your Medicare, of your Social Security taxes, your health insurance, your retirement savings, as well as anything that you use, any equipment that you need for your profession, especially as a working musician. I'll give you an example. No company, no band that I work for is ever going to buy me an instrument. I have to buy them myself. And to be perfectly honest, none of them are cheap. There's instruments that I've purchased in my lifetime that combined, I would say maybe I spend maybe $3,000 or $4,000, and that's just the bare minimum. Instruments are expensive, and if that's your profession, like for instance, if you're a drummer, you have to buy a drum set. Not every place is going to supply you with a drum set. Not every venue has a drum set to supply you with, or if they do have it, it's not conducive to what you're going to do that night. Some people beat the shit out of those drums, and if they use it, don't take care of it, if you break it, you got to buy it, pretty much. So why would you want to go through that? Get your own drum set. Those are the things that you have to do. That's just one of a many aspect. Now, again, this might be a long video. I'm going to try to keep it down to a bare minimum and get right into it, okay? Your health insurance, you have to supply yourself. Your retirement, you have to supply yourself. Let me give you another example of being a working musician when it comes to those things. 9 times out of 10, when you work with a band, that person that you're working with stiffs you. It's happened. There's not a musician that doesn't walk on this planet that has not been stiffed. Okay, you've been stiffed when you played with a group. Um, how you lose? Of course, you lose it because you agreed upon a price. You agreed upon how much you were getting. You get to the venue. You do the job. It's over with. You expect the pay that was agreed upon, and 9 times out of 10, depending on who you're dealing with, it doesn't happen. Or they say, "Oh, well, I got shortchanged, and I'll pay you another time." Or I got shortchanged. This promoter shortchanged me, and I'll pay you another. Look, the excuses are longer than the Wall of China. So no musician wants to hear that, especially this musician here. I don't want to hear that, but I have heard it. Okay, and it's crazy because it's like you think about it and it says, "Oh man, that dude screwed me out of money." But then if you think about it in this terms, and I want everyone to start really listen to what I'm about to say. Okay, if you're a 1099 working musician, that means you file your taxes under a 1099 code. Okay, remember, I just said it earlier, you're paying 100% of your Medicare, your Social Security taxes, your retirement funding. You know, what happens if you make it to 65? What do you think your life is going to look like? Seriously, let's really, really think about it. You're paying into the system because you pay 100%. No one else does. The person that you work with, they use you for that night and that's it. If they want to continue using you, awesome. If not, that's fine. If you don't put money to the side, how do you explain for buying all the stuff that you need to work? I mean, really, it's ridiculous. It's You have to take care of that. So I'm gonna make this message personal. Sorry, I'm gonna make this a personal message to all the musicians out there that are working musicians. Do not do freebies. Don't work for free. You can't afford to work for free. Okay? If you want to donate your time to people, that's fine. You can do that. Do whatever you want. Matter of fact, don't even listen to what I just said if you don't care to. But if you want to work for free, okay, you're not screwing me. You're screwing yourself. Because guess what? You might make it to 65. I didn't think I'd make it to 49, but I'm here. And I plan to live a little bit longer. I plan to make it to 65. And I want to see something from a Social Security check that I may apply for when I'm 65 because that's by law. And I want to see something for that, all that work. If you don't get paid, if you get paid under the table, just file the taxes anyway. Seriously, don't screw yourself in the future because of the things you do right now. Keep that in mind, okay? All right, let's get on to the next one. All right, this is something that really, really hits home for me, okay? This is a major, major main issue with all of us in the BMGA community. What is BMGA? Bands, musicians, groups, artists. I'll say it again. BMGA community. It just doesn't affect us, it also affects everybody. Health insurance. You know, if you're a 1099 employee or a 1099 working musician, Nine times out of ten, you don't have health. You're not given health insurance. You have to purchase it. So you have to have the abundance amount of gigs in order to pay for your health insurance. Some musicians that I know personally, they operate without health insurance. As to say, well, I'm fine right now. I'm healthy because they're young. They don't think in the long terms. You know, or they're married and their spouse has them on their insurance, so they're covered. They're protected in certain ways. Not everybody is in that predicament. So you have to have what they call health insurance, especially nowadays. Listen, guys, one thing that I've learned out of this entire fiasco of the pandemic, one thing that I've learned is health is important. Musicians are dying by the dozen. I kid you not. Every time I look at social media, I hear about another musician passing away, and another one, and another one. Some that I knew, some that I didn't know. But the fact that they're dying for reasons of because they didn't take care of their health, or maybe, it was an act of God, I don't know because I don't investigate every one of them. But the fact of the matter is that they are dying by the dozens. So there's got to be something going on. Okay? Maybe poor lifestyle decisions are catching up to them. I don't know. Maybe they have just trying to put it together. Maybe they have. Let's think about it. Maybe they have an incurable disease like diabetes, or maybe they have AIDS. Maybe they have cancer. Something, something. I can't even narrow it down. It's so much. Of course, there's also, like I said, act of God. Sometimes, they could be walking across the street and get hit by a bus. Or, and one musician that I know, case, a guitar player that lived in Las Vegas years ago, where he was in Seattle and he got hit by a train just taking a picture. I mean, it's just things like that. But getting back to the point, the main point of it is health insurance. So you got to look into that. Now, I was able to find a company. I don't know if any of you are in working musicians, any of us within the BMGA community. If you're working consistently, I don't know if you have any insurance or health insurance. I don't know. Maybe this could help you. Okay. I've been able to look around and search for at least one company that I know of. Now, if you're with the musicians union of your city or your state, okay, forget that. I even don't even bother listening to this part. But if you're independent, completely independent, you're not a union member, you're doing this full time, there is a company out there that is a nonprofit organization, and their name is the Music Health Alliance. Excuse me, I'll say it again. Music Health Alliance. Underneath is the telephone number and the email that you can find out more information. Now, I will put their link to the website into the comment section below. And I want everyone to check that out. Those who of you that are involved in the music industry, you don't have to be a musician per se. According to their website, you can be someone that works around musicians, like a studio engineer, or a videographer, or somebody that does hairstyles. It could be anything, a promoter of some sort. This may help you. Okay, and I'm going to say their name again, the Music Health Alliance. Now, they're located in Nashville, Tennessee, but they operate in all the 50 states. Okay? Just to add this, I've not reached out to them. I have never reached out to them at all. They don't know that I'm promoting this. So don't call them up and says, oh, well, this guy from the JTC, the podcast, he told me about you guys. They don't even know who I am. Okay. The only reason why I was looking into this is because a friend of mine He's looking for help, medical. He doesn't have any medical, and he was gonna he was thinking in his head to do a GoFundMe. And I told him, no, man. Why do you? Well, he told me why he needed to GoFundMe, of course. But I said, you know what? Check out this group. Check out this organization first before you do that. See what they can do to help you. See what consultation they can give you. See what it is that they're able to help you with. Okay. You never know. I mean, maybe they can help you, or maybe they can. What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay. They may introduce you to programs that you didn't know that were available for working musicians. Think about it, guys. Right now, your health, if you're young, your health is not that important. Okay. But in reality, it's always important. It's number one on the list. Okay. Now, now with that being said, here's another, maybe the last one. Okay. Music insurance. I had to do a pause. Music insurance. You're probably wondering, what the hell is music insurance? Okay. Well, according to Google, it's an insurance that protects musicians and entertainers if a claim is made against you. Like, here's an example of it, okay? Where something goes wrong in a public event or one of your performances. I don't know, maybe a speaker blows out or injures a member of the audience. Maybe, I don't know, you're playing and all of a sudden something happens, a music stand hits somebody. Hey, all kinds of shit can happen, okay? Seriously. You know, your insurance is going to cover you against any of those claims. Because let's be really honest, man. Everybody is sue happy. And to this day and age, everybody's suing everybody for every little thing. I'm surprised that most people don't even have public liability insurance. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, isn't that for the promoter? The promoter's the one that does that. Look, here's my thought on that. Okay, listen very carefully what I'm about to say. All the good promoters are retired, dead. There ain't no more promoters. Now, you may think that a promoter is going to help you in the future where your gig that you get that they have insurance. I'm telling you right now, ask for their promoter's license. I guarantee you they don't have one. Okay, give me 1 second. I guarantee they don't have one. And if they did, that means they have an insurance that protects you, correct? I guarantee they don't even have insurance either. Promoters nowadays, nah, I'm sorry. I haven't met a real promoter in over 15 years. That's just the truth. That's the God's honest truth. I have not met a real promoter in over 15 years. So, where are all the promoters at? I'll tell you what you have now. You have a bunch of renegades out there that went to Kinko's and put promoter down on a business card, and that's what they got. That's what you got. That's what you have. Okay? You got promoters that don't deal with their own money, that use somebody else to get that money for you. And God forbid that person that's supposed to fund it decides to say, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with this. That promoter ain't got a dime to pay you. Those are the promoters that are existing nowadays. Another promoter is a person that just knows somebody that's running the venue. And he says, hey, hire my band. Do that. The promoter's responsibility is what? Promote. Now, there are some that are out there. Okay? Maybe I haven't met them yet. I don't know. But there are some that are out there. Whether they exist or not, you know what? That that's something that I can't answer. I never met them, so therefore I don't know if they exist. I have heard that there are some decent ones, or some of them that are still active, that in actuality they really do take care of the artists that they hire, or they hire someone from the BMGA community and they really do take care of them. I heard that they do, but I haven't seen one yet, and I'm saying this 15 years. I'm not making this number up. I wish I was, but I'm not. I've been all around the 50 states. I don't know about Europe. I don't know about South America. I do not know about Africa. Don't ask me. I'm talking about the United States. Okay? Now, there are people out there in those other countries that I just mentioned. They can probably tell you, oh, these are good promoters and these are bad promoters. Of course, everybody has who they think is good and who they think is bad. Who has licenses? Who does not have licenses? Who protects their artists? Who does not protect their artists? Again, that's subjective. So therefore, you don't know who's who, what's what. You need to protect yourself. Okay, now again, below the comments, I'm going to list all these links that I talked about. I'm going to list a link of what I said about 1099 employee. If you don't understand what that means, I'm putting a link in the comment below, in the comment section below. Sorry, I get excited about this. I'm putting the link on the comment below in the section, so that way you guys can look at the 1099. What is it entitled? I'm also putting the Music Health Alliance's website link also in the comment section, where you can go look them up at your own leisure. You can check them out. If they work, if it's something that you need, or maybe they can help you in some way, reach out to them if you want to. If you don't, you don't. It's okay. Also, understanding what public liability insurance is. Insurance is to protect your instruments. Because let's be real, all these things that you need this to operate your business. This is your business. Okay? You want to be in the music industry, you got to treat it like a business. Pure and simple. Every time you do a freebie, every time you put yourself at risk, you're fucking yourself. You're not fucking me. I'm protecting myself. Okay? You're fucking yourself. Remember that. Okay? Remember that when someone says, hey, my instrument broke. You broke my instrument. What? No, you broke your instrument. That person's not going to pay. You got to pay out of your own pocket. You don't have any insurance. How are you going to take care of it? What are you going to use your rent money to pay your stuff? No. It's not right. It's not fair. You shouldn't do that to yourself. Get your affairs in order. Make sure that you have all these things in your life. Go check yourself. That's the name of the title of this episode. Go check yourself. You understand? ¿Tú me entiendes? You hear what I'm saying? Good. Hey, go check yourself out. Please. And that's going to bring this podcast to a close. Thank you all for watching and listening. I truly appreciate it. And just stay tuned for episode 4 in 2 weeks, April 24th, 2023. Before I go, I just want to add something. Okay. Understand that my intentions are good. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, and I'm not trying to offend anyone in anything that I say, nor the way I say it. I'm a street person. I've always been one. I was That's just how I am. Now, if you know me outside, you know that, hey, you're calming down a little bit here and there. But truth be known, that's just the way I project myself. I'm trying to help. That's it. Well, people have helped me in the past. People have guided me in my life. I've had mentors. Unfortunately, some of them are gone. There are some that are still alive, but the majority of the ones that are no longer with me, they still help me out in certain ways by just remembering their wisdom, just remembering things that they brought to the table and they brought to my table. They gave me an opportunity to eat. They gave me an opportunity to live and to duck and dodge all the bullshit in the world. So if you guys can just do me a favor and just treat me like an onion, peel me one layer at a time. Look through the mad dog demeanor, look through the curse words, and see what's in the core. Okay? See, my philosophy is ridiculously simple. I believe in the philosophy of this man right here, which is Tupac Shakur. And of course, you know who he is if you've been living under a rock for the last 150 years or so. Um, I've never been a fan of his music. Some songs I like, of course, but he's there for a reason. And the reason is very simple. In an interview, he once said that, and I quote, if I could spark the mind of one person, then I've fulfilled my end of the bargain. End quote. That's what I'm trying to do, people. I'm trying to help everybody out as much as I can. To be the guide that many have been a guide for me. Now, with that being said, I'm your host, Juan Tiny Colon, and I wish you nothing but the utmost happiness, the best of health, and true success in everything that you do. Te quiero de gratis, como tú no sabes. I love you all for free, like you don't know. Please, take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you in 2 weeks, alright? Alright. I'm out this mother. See you later. Happy Easter.
Cuidado, que vengo quemando. Soy candela de los pies a la cabeza, soy caña brava, león de la maleza, soy agua que cae en la cascada, manantial de pueblo, alivio a tu garganta. Soy la furia si me agita tu traición. Soy un beso que nace del corazón. Si me ofrecen cariño y amistad, los devuelvo con toda sinceridad. Y al enemigo que con su celo acusa, que por envidia se ensaña malicioso, no le traigo la flor blanca que es ternura, le traigo la esperanza